A young woman at the beginning of both her life and her career. A career that she had worked tirelessly to obtain. She sits and watches as her face graces the silver screen for the very first time. A smile stretches across her face as she realizes that all of the sleepless nights and constant practice has finally culminated into this very moment. A moment that she would remember for the rest of her life. What she didn't know is that her life would come to an end very, very soon. Sometimes love takes your breath away. Welcome to Find Me in the Dark, a podcast covering all things true crime. This is episode 19, The Murder of Dominique Dunne.
Find me in the dark. Find me in the dark.
Find Me in the Dark contains graphic content that may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Find Me in the Dark. I'm your host, Eric Phillips, along with my co-host, Robert Prestige.
What's going on, guys?
So what's going on, dude? What's going on with you over in California?
Oh man, I got Friday. Friday I finally get to go back to Texas or to Texas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't wait, man.
Yeah, that's it sounds like you're not having a good time there.
I'm definitely not, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to, I'm like halfway unpacked. Like it's just I'm ready to get home to my new home, and figure things out.
It's just funny every time I hit you up, I'm like, yo, what are you doing? You're like, I'm in the hotel.
Dude.
I'm just like,
literally.
okay.
But
I mean, come on, go outside for a little bit, bro.
I do. Here and there. But it's funny, guy that I'm working with, Cody, we went to Goodwill and bought a whatchamacallit, crock pot.
Yeah.
And so we've been making crock pot stuff. So we actually got to have like a little Thanksgiving and stuff. So it wasn't too bad.
Well, that's adorable.
Yeah, it was cute, right?
Yeah. So our last release, I think, was that micro episode about that place in Oregon, where a woman called 911 to report her ex-boyfriend trying to break into her house, and due to budget cuts, they just couldn't send anybody. They just were like, sorry.
It was crazy, man. That whole story, that's scary to think about.
It's a very scary story. Yeah, it's horrifying. Not only that, the guy eventually did get into the house and do stuff to her that was horrible, but then their kind of whole reaction to it was like, yeah, well, sorry,
Yeah, it's like I said, that story it's hopefully hopefully they figured it out there, and it doesn't happen in any other cities.
Right. And it's I've noticed our last few episodes have been about domestic violence, kind of a running theme right now. And this one isn't any different.
Well, it's better than it's hard to say certain words when we do this kind of stuff.
I know.
But it is definitely better than the last trail that we were on with what? Kids being murdered. So
yeah, I get it. People are I get why people were upset about that. But I don't know. A lot of those stories are stories that need to be told, and this one is definitely a story that you guys have probably heard of, Dominique Dunne, but it really stops at 15 celebrity deaths you didn't know about, and then you click the link and it's like Dominique Dunne. Oh, and then you kind of don't really read into it. But when you read the real story, it's fucking it's just gross. The whole thing just leaves this weird feeling like, I don't know. It just makes me sick.
Can I be completely honest with you, Eric, and
Yeah.
to our fans? And I'm probably going to catch some flack for this, but for one, I had no idea about this story, and
Yeah.
two, I've honestly never watched The Poltergeist.
Yeah, but I could have guessed that you wouldn't have. You know, it just is something. I just knowing you so well, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think you would see that movie. I don't know why, but I would just guess that you didn't see that movie because you're not super into horror, are you?
No, not at all.
No, right. So it would only make sense that you didn't see it. I saw it when I was a kid, and it fucked my life up for a long time. But everybody knows about the poltergeist curse, about like a bunch of people that died afterwards, and there's a bunch of conspiracy theories that they built the house on, or the actual house was on native burial grounds, and that they used real skeletons in the pool scene, which I don't think any of that shit is true, but it's fun, it's fun to think about, but it's probably bullshit. But
Right.
this one is real. This girl really did get killed, and we will go over the details later on. But another thing I noticed is that we got a couple more comments, reviews on Apple that were really nice, saying that, like, we're one of the top podcasts out there, and another one that says, it was a girl from Oklahoma that said she listened to the Girl Scouts one and was like shocked that we said all the town's names right and shit, and like she lives there and knows the story and knows a lot about it, and said we got it all right. So she said that we're her new obsession, and the other one said we're their favorite podcast. So it's just cool to hear stuff like that, knowing that we work really, really, really hard to put this stuff out consistently and try and keep it a good product. So when you read stuff like that, it just makes you feel good.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. Speaking of people enjoying our product, we do have 2 new Patreon members that I want to shout out. I know I shouted them out on the Patreon episode that we just did, but I'd like to give them a shout out on the mainstream episode too. So, Beth Davis, thank you.
What's up, Beth?
And Amanda Davey, my cousin. So thank you for finally jumping aboard. No, I'm just kidding. I love you.
Yeah, fine. What took you so long, cousin? Thank you, though. Both of you guys, thank you so much. It was funny. I was talking to Mackenzie from Crimeaholics,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how, like, we were super nervous about you moving to Texas and how this was going to affect the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now she has to move for 4 years with her husband to Japan.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I feel like a pussy now. Cause like she was like, they're going to continue, her and Holly are going to continue doing the podcast. And it's a great, great, great podcast. So I can't see that. I mean, they already live in different states, but living in Japan is a different animal. Cause she's going to have to, I don't know, wake up at like 3 a.m. to record at
crazy.
4 or some shit. Like, that's just crazy. And they work so hard that, they're going to get it done, and they're just going to keep rolling. So
yeah, shout out to them, by the way. I just recently started listening to their podcast, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh,
phenomenal.
Dude, it's so good. It's just so well done, like well researched, and a lot of podcasts. I'm not going to name any, but it's like they lack opinions. You know what I mean? Like, where it's just like a really monotone, just talking about the crime. Like, if I wanted that, I'll just read the article. I don't need. I like hearing what other people have to say about the crime, and they don't shy away from their feelings, and they're just overall just such a good show. And I'm glad that they're getting some recognition. Obviously, not as much as they should be, because they should be huge. But hopefully, with time, and they keep carrying on and can pull off recording from fucking Japan for 4 years, then I could see them being, up there with, the other podcasts like My Favorite Murder and Morbid, except I enjoy their podcast more than those two.
And I agree with you 100%, Eric, with that. They just have that that calming, like,
oh yeah,
woman's voice, and it's just, it's easy to listen to, very easy to listen to.
And females are just better at this. Like, it sucks because we're
That's
both
the
guys,
truth.
and I probably shouldn't say it, but they just are, dude.
It is true.
They just are. It helps that we're sensitive, but we're still not that good, But yeah, man. Dominique Dunne. Yeah. another domestic violence tale, but this one is different. It's really different, and you guys are actually going to find out right now.
All right.
All right, ready to go, Rob?
Yep.
All right. Dominique Dunne was born on November 23rd, 1959, in the beautiful city of Santa Monica, California, to parents Ellen Beatrice and Dominique Dunne. Dominique was a producer, writer, and actor. So needless to say, Dominique was very familiar with the entertainment industry from a fairly young age. She was the youngest of 3 children, having 2 older brothers, Alex and Griffin.
Griffin, like his father, was also an actor. The family seemed to have a natural talent for the arts. As expected, Dominique kept up the family tradition of acting, landing her first role in a 1979 made-for-TV movie called Diary of a Teenage Hitchhiker. Her debut performance began to open more doors for the young actress, appearing on television series such as Family, Lou Grant, Breaking Away, Children's Mystery Theater, and even managed to land multiple roles in more made-for-TV movies.
Her career was off to a good start and showed no signs of slowing down. In 1981, Dominique landed the role of a lifetime. She was cast to play Dana Freeling in the Steven Spielberg-produced Poltergeist. The movie was groundbreaking, an absolute smash hit, grossing around $70 million at the box office. Life was changing for Dominique in the most incredible way, but it wouldn't last. Her accomplishments were met with insurmountable tragedy and would be brought to an absolutely terrifying halt.
It all began at a party in 1981. Dominique met a man by the name of John Sweeney, a sous chef at a glamorous high-end celebrity-packed restaurant, Ma Mason. The two instantly connected and wasted no time getting into a relationship. Only a few weeks after their initial meeting, the new couple decided to take a chance and move in together. It didn't take long for the honeymoon phase to fizzle out and reveal the true colors of John Sweeney. He was controlling, possessive, jealous, violent, verbally abusive, and overall a terrible human being. The couple were constantly fighting, with Sweeney's shortcomings and character flaws leading the way.
The physical abuse was becoming more and more frequent, and Sweeney made 0 attempts to hide his abusive nature, often beating Dominique in front of witnesses and bystanders. Dominique Dunne, Dominique's father, was extremely unsettled by their relationship after he visited the couple in Los Angeles.
After staying with Sweeney and Dominique, he made the assessment that Sweeney was far more in love with Dominique than she was with him. It was a lopsided relationship, and Sweeney's insecurities were boiling to the surface. Even in the short time Dominique spent with Sweeney, he witnessed some truly disturbing behavior.
After Poltergeist was released, Dominique's stardom rose significantly, leading to her being recognized more frequently when the couple was out in public. This did not sit well with Sweeney. Not only did Sweeney want all of his girlfriend's attention, but also started to feel inferior to her and her rising recognition and success.
While Dominique, Sweeney, and Dominic were all out to eat at a restaurant, an eager fan approached them to tell the Poltergeist star just how wonderful she was in the film. Sweeney did not appreciate the fans' efforts and immediately grabbed them and shook them furiously, all because of a seemingly normal and innocent conversation between Dominique and a loyal, loving fan.
Dominic was in absolute shock of Sweeney's behavior, while Dominique had grown increasingly numb to his antics. When Dominic met with the couple at a restaurant again, they were extremely late. When they finally arrived, it was evident that Dominique had been crying.
Dominic suspected that Dominique was close to ending the abusive relationship. On another occasion, a friend of the couple witnessed the two in an argument, which resulted in Sweeney ripping out chunks of his girlfriend's hair and violently shoving her.
Another friend recalled a time when Sweeney was strangling Dominique in another room. Sweeney told the friend that it wasn't serious and that he was not trying to hurt Dominique. Later that night, Dominique escaped the couple's home through a bathroom window. She was able to get into her car, but before she could leave, Sweeney jumped on the hood in a last-ditch attempt to keep her hostage.
She was able to escape regardless, after what Dominique described as an attempted murder. She refused to return to the house they shared. Instead, she stayed with her mother or other friends in the area. She had had enough. She called Sweeney and ended the relationship. Sweeney was devastated and he eventually packed up his belongings and moved out of the couple's West Hollywood home.
Oh, right. So, yeah, man, I feel like, we've gone through um, some pretty, like, I don't know, we've gone through, like, basically the entire beginning up until what's about to happen.
Right.
And there's just there's so much to talk about. Um, you know, Dominique was obviously born into a family that was very, I would say, successful and also very familiar with the art of acting and really just entertainment, with her dad being a producer and a writer and even an actor, and then her brother Griffin also acting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was basically, it's like being a prodigy, when it's like being born, if you're fucking Tiger Woods' son, you're probably going to be good at golf,
Right. Pretty much. Yeah.
And it didn't take her long to start doing stuff,
Not at all. I mean, she pretty much jumped into it. I mean, she was young. I mean, when this whole situation's taking place, is like what, she was like 22, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, when she passed away before her 23rd birthday, but
Yeah.
when she started acting, she was in her early teens,
Right.
because
Yeah.
um, she did the Confessions of a Teenage Hitchhiker,
Yeah.
and she just did it. And after that, she just was like, if you look at her IMDb, it's just like back to back to back to back on shows that are no joke, like back in the 80s and 70s. Like, she was on some really big shows and on some really, they were like making TV movies for her to be in,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of made sense after that, because she's a very pretty young lady. Everybody seemed to like her, and she's good in Poltergeist, man. She's good in all the other stuff I've seen her in, so she had talent, she had the looks, and it was just, it was something that couldn't be stopped. She
Right.
was just so good at it that it was just taking off. And yeah, just crazy.
Yeah, it's sad to see how this plays out when, is even when we did the Judith Barcy, I mean, she
Yeah.
was so much younger than that.
Oh my
But
god, yeah.
She was just there. These girls are just starting their careers and just like learning this process, and then all of a sudden it's just taken away from them.
Yeah. And that's
Um,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, with her meeting Sweeney at that party, and how, of course, the same way that all these assholes do it, they come off super nice and super sensitive and like always wanting to take care of her, opening doors for her and stuff like that. It always comes off like that. And then you move in together, and
Quickly too.
yeah, with them both being extremely young. But just imagine what if she just missed that party? You know what I mean? Like, if she just didn't go, would we even be talking about her right now?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? And if we were talking about her, it'd be like, oh, she won an award or something,
Right.
And then after they move in, of course, it's what do they call it? The honeymoon phase, like
Yeah.
and that's what it was. Things went well for a little bit, and then right after they move in together, the abuse just, it's not like he, called her a name once and then, pushed her, and then it just started. No, it just like was just full on abuse right away. From what I've heard, from what I read an article with Dominique Dunne, who is her father, and he said that it seemed like like every time they hung out together, when he went to visit from New York, he said that there was just signs of abuse all over the place. Like, this dude didn't even care. He wasn't hiding anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it's not even behind closed doors either. I mean, he beat her in public.
A lot. Like, a lot of times, dude. Like, it's fucking nuts, dude. Like, I don't know, man. It's just weird that this guy beat this girl in public so often and never went to jail.
Yeah,
And
I agree with you, man. It's
just
crazy.
It's so crazy, right? And then, Dominic also said after visiting with them a few times that he could tell that this was almost a one-way street. You know what I mean? Like he loved her so much. And I think when that honeymoon phase was over, she was like, yo, fuck this guy. And was just like thinking of different ways to get out of this relationship.
Well,
But
yeah,
I mean,
especially if she's being abused mentally and physically.
like
I
all
mean,
the time.
You're right. I mean, I would want to get out too.
Of course, because you got to think of it in a different way, that it's not just, when they go home that she's getting beat. We just said he does it in public in front of people, and that's just so crazy.
And I think her. So I think this is what you're probably gonna get into, is just how fast she like became successful and famous.
Yeah.
And especially with, like, as soon as the Poltergeist ended or released. Yeah, he couldn't handle people being around her, period.
Right. He would like, he's the type of guy that would get mad if like a bartender served her drink and was like, here you go, sweetie. Like if he heard something like that, like he's the type of guy that is threatened by the attention that she gets, no matter where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that plenty of times. When he shakes that fan at the restaurant.
Yeah, just because this kid just wanted an autograph. You know what I mean? Like,
and she was being cool. Like he yelled out one of her lines from Poltergeist, and then allowed the guy to come over, and then all of a sudden, dude just shakes the shit out of this guy, and I'm like, that's such a fucking weird thing to do. Like, why would you even think of that? Shouldn't you be proud that your girl is, soaring?
Right. She's probably picking up that tab, buddy.
Yeah, right. She probably is. I mean, even though, don't get me wrong, dude was rich too, because with him being a chef in a high end place that is frequented by celebrities.
Right.
But and I think he was a mentally ill person, obviously, or he's just a fucking asshole. It's a possibility, And
I think it's C, all of the above.
Yeah, I agree. And then she, she finally, it's just the last straw, and decides, this is too much. I mean, like, goddamn, dude, you got to escape through your own bathroom, and then, have to try and like quietly get in the car. So the dude, and then he's on the fucking hood trying to hold you hostage. Like, yeah, man, time to get out, and it takes a certain type of person, like a certain type of strength to be able to end a relationship like that, knowing that there are possible dire consequences,
And the sad thing is, like, she got out. You know what I mean? Like, she made that step to get out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, I guess we're going to find out here shortly what happens. But
yeah, it's just unfortunate that she was such a good person. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, it's a weird way. It's a weird thing to say, but when she's, this one time where she, decides to keep giving a person a chance that doesn't deserve it, and as you guys will see, it doesn't go well. In fact, why don't we just get into that now, dude?
Alrighty.
All right. After Sweeney and all of his things were out of the house, Dominique returned to the home and immediately changed all of the locks. Not long after Sweeney moved out, on October 30th, 1982, Dominique was at home preparing for a television role with her co-star, David Packer. While the two were going over their lines, the phone rang. Dominique took the time to answer the call, only to realize that the voice on the other end was in fact Sweeney.
She hung up the phone, and no more than 10 minutes later, Sweeney was at the house. After much convincing, Dominique agreed to step out of the house and speak to her ex-boyfriend, while Packer stayed indoors. Packer instantly heard an argument taking place outside and decided to call the police when he could hear screams and sounds of a violent struggle.
After he called the police, Packer made his way outside and spotted Dominique lying in the bushes, motionless, with Sweeney looming over her. The police arrived at the house, and instantly Sweeney admitted that his plan was to kill Dominique and then kill himself. Dominique was showing no signs of life and was immediately rushed to the nearest hospital, where she was put on life support.
Sadly, Dominique was showing no signs of life and her odds of regaining consciousness had diminished to nothing. On November 4th of 1982, her parents consented to the removal of life support. Dominique passed away, and her kidneys and heart were donated to those in need. Sweeney was arrested and initially charged with first-degree murder.
Later on, he stated that he has no memory of the attack and had only regained consciousness as he was towering over Dominique's lifeless body. The charges were dropped from first-degree murder to voluntary manslaughter. Sweeney was found guilty of the count of voluntary manslaughter and served only 3.5 years in prison for extinguishing the life of a promising young actress, a life that was just beginning, but brought to an end by an egotistical, selfish, possessive, and abusive, weak man who could not handle the fact that Dominique was not his, and that she was going to continue her rise to fame without him.
After his release from prison, Sweeney was able to obtain a job as a head chef at another upscale restaurant in the area. Dominique's family was absolutely sickened by the fact that he was able to carry on with his life after destroying their daughters. The family would often protest outside the establishment, handing out flyers to patrons that explained who the man that would be cooking their meals really is: a killer.
Fortunately, this caused a major problem for Sweeney and the establishment, and he was ultimately forced to resign from the head chef position. Years after his release from prison, Sweeney found love again and was engaged to be married. Once again, this sickened the family. They could not stand by and watch this man destroy yet another young woman, so they contacted the woman's father and told him who Sweeney really is. Sweeney would go on to legally change his name and go into hiding of some sort. He passed away quietly in 2009. All right. So, yeah, that is the tragic story of the young star Dominique Dunne, with her life being extinguished by that piece of shit Sweeney. It's just you just hear shit like this all the time, don't you?
Constantly.
You know what I mean?
Constantly.
It's just crazy. I mean, if you could just look in Hollywood how many guys have killed their wives and shit. It's fucking nuts. I mean,
and how many of them pretty much just get away with it?
Yeah, really, that's the big issue that we're going to discuss here in a minute. I mean, technically he didn't get away with it, but he basically did. You know what I mean? Yeah.
As close as you can get, pretty much.
And I was saying earlier in the episode that she is, that I think maybe her niceness was a factor here. Obviously, it's not her fault. That's so ridiculous. Don't come at me with that bullshit. But I just think that she was such a good person that, you know, even after hanging up the phone with Sweeney, and then him coming over and being like, come talk to me on the porch, she went and talked to him on the porch, knowing damn well who he was, but she's a good person. So she was trying to give this guy a fucking chance.
Dude, it takes some balls to do this shit mid-daylight with somebody else in the house.
Yep. Yeah, and he definitely knew that Packer was there. He knew that. Mm-hmm. You know, and then of course this happening, and there's obvious giant struggle, and he said that he heard like thumps and slaps and shit like that, and you look out the window and see them struggling, and then you fucking just call the cops and do nothing.
Yeah,
like for real.
I don't know. I wasn't there obviously in that situation, but maybe he did try to intervene and it was already too late. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, there just wasn't any record of it that I could find. So maybe he did. I don't know. But I mean, I would have tried to jump in and help a woman getting beat by a man, you know,
mm-hmm. Or beat the living shit out of the Sweeney dude.
Yeah, for sure. Grab something heavy and just cave his skull in. Yep. That's, you know, there we go. And, you know, so the cops do come, right? And they basically see Sweeney just fucking hovering over Dominique. And, you know, she is not moving, doesn't look like she's breathing. And, you know, as they're putting him in cuffs and shit, he straight up admits that his plan was to kill Dominique and then kill himself. He said it right there, you know?
Mm-hmm. And, you know, and they talk about, you know, him saying that he like took a bunch of pills or something like that.
Yeah.
There was never any proof that he actually did that.
Yeah. But, yeah, I never saw anything either. I didn't even fucking mention it because there's no point, you know. So after he basically admits to killing her purposefully, he is charged with first-degree murder. But
This fucking judge.
they drop the charges basically after Sweeney claimed he didn't remember the incident and that he only remembers like standing over her after she was already gone. So they drop the charges of first-degree murder, and they decide to go after him with voluntary manslaughter, which is just fucking nuts. Like,
A slap in the face.
it's got to be a degree, you know. It's got to be first, second, or third degree. I don't want to hear any shit about you know, manslaughter, especially when you're there, you know, and you say that this was your plan. That means it's premeditated.
Exactly. I don't see how they could have changed that, but whatever. This judge decided to throw out a bunch of other stuff too. So
Yeah, you were telling me that.
So they had gotten testimony from one of Sweeney's exes who had said that she had been beaten and all these other things, and the judge decided to throw that out too.
That's insane. How does that, like, did it not pertain to the case? Because it definitely does. It shows that he had a history of violence.
That's what his attorney said, and the judge agreed with it.
That's so insane. That's just pure insanity. And, you know, okay, so he voluntary manslaughter. He was convicted, and he spent less than 4 years in prison for murdering Dominique.
Well, he was only going to get 6.
Yeah,
that was a max sentence was 6 years, and then he got the other 6 months or something for that incident that had happened a month prior to her being killed. And so this is what I was going to tell you. She was recording, was it a Chips episode, I want to say?
Yeah, Chips. Yep.
And she was like part of domestic violence or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so she was giving up her child because she was a victim of domestic violence or something like that. Anyways, so in that clip, she has a bunch of bruises and stuff on her, and they said that she didn't need makeup because those were all real bruises on her from that incident.
That's so sad. That's just so sad. But yeah, you know, Sweeney got out of prison, obviously serving less than 4 years, and this asshole was able to get a job as a head chef at another restaurant.
Again.
But, you know.
But kudos to Dominic.
Oh,
dad,
yeah.
This dude, and the whole family, you know.
Yeah, their whole family, yeah.
Sitting out there protesting the restaurant and like handing out flyers that said, what was it? What did it say?
It just basically said like his charges and everything.
Yeah, and it said something along the lines of the food, the hands that prepare this food are the hands that killed my daughter. Or my
yeah,
family.
It was something like that. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, and so he basically, I think it was an amicable split between him and the restaurant because the restaurant was losing business because of this shit.
Right.
And you know, he just tries to keep on keeping on. Still with his fucking name, you know, and the family again finds out that he's engaged to another woman. So the family contacts the woman's dad and is like, hey, this guy treats women this way and he killed my daughter, and then breaks off that engagement. Man, and then
then he changes his name.
He changes his name and lives, nobody gives a fuck about him, and then he died with nobody because everyone hates him in 2009.
Good. Fuck that guy.
Good. Fuck him. So it's just a sad story that probably happens multiple times a minute in this world, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're constantly talking about it.
Yeah.
I feel like every episode that we have, something along domestic violence comes up.
It's a big thing, man, you know? And that's what we just brought it up, that like the most dangerous years of a woman's life are immediately, you know, the ones immediately after a breakup. And this shows that that's true,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But yeah, that's the story, guys. Rest in peace to Dominique. And, yeah, I just really wish that, she would have been able to, you know, just skip that party and keep acting and keep, you know, she could have turned out to be like a Jamie Lee Curtis type scream queen, you know.
Absolutely.
She had the talent, and she was a beautiful girl, and seems like just a nice person with a good family and support system behind her. And all it takes is one fucking parasite, you know, one virus to destroy your life.
Yep.
And that was Sweeney. But that's it for the episode. That's all of episode 19, closing in on 20 here. That's crazy.
Yeah, right? Man, wow.
Yeah, I know. And I think, yeah, I don't know what we're covering next. We never really do. So
that's the way we roll. Because every time we say we're going to cover something, we never do it anyway. So
yeah, that's true. We'll probably churn a few more of these out and then really nail how we're going to be doing this. And then we'll probably, you know, start working on Mayhem at some point, you know, in the next few months.
Yeah, we definitely need to work on that.
Yeah.
But like I said, we still got some more things to iron out. And, you know, I'm still in a hotel room, and sooner than later, I'll be back in Texas, and then we can really
do it.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, because the acoustics in your hotel room are shit. I'm just letting you know that now.
Oh, what can I do? What do you want me to do?
Nothing, dude. Just put your mattress up against the bathroom, like, and just sit in the shower and record in there.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I'll do that next episode.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll try and switch it up and you know, cover something crazy for this next micro, and then who knows what's going on with this next full release. But we'll keep churning these out and trying to give you guys a good product. And yeah, just do everything, you know, that we ask you all the time. Leave a 5-star rating anywhere, and just write a short review. It doesn't have to be super long talking about how we're the greatest things ever. You can just say, I love the show. That's it. You know, it's just because when we have those reviews, it does help us get out there. We've said it 100 times, but it really does. And the only other way to help us more would be to sign up for our Patreon, which is patreon.com/findmeinthedark. So if you want to sign up there, you know, $5, $10 a month, whatever you want to do, we appreciate every cent and every second you spend listening to the podcast and helping us. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, anyways, good job today, Rob.
Same to you, my friend.
All right. Find Me in the Dark. Out.
Peace.